content marketing arrive differently. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. One of my favorite books, which I've talked about multiple times, Winning Through Intimidation, the classic by Robert Ringer. If you haven't read this one, it's worth reading. So many of the ideas in this book are timeless. They're just timeless principles, which he refers to as theories in here. And he has all these real clever names for these theories. This book came out in the 70s, but to this day, really solid stuff. There's been enough reprints that you can find one on Amazon or wherever you buy books. I wanted to bring up a huge point of content marketing that he used back in the 70s. Okay, and he talks about it here. He talks about it specifically in the use of his Leapfrog Theory, the idea of Leapfrog Theory. Well, let me see here what he says. He had a great definition here at the beginning of this chapter 9. He says, Leapfrog Theory, which states no one has an obligation, moral, legal, or otherwise, to work his way up through the ranks. Every human being possesses an inalienable right to make a unilateral decision to redirect his career and begin operating on a higher level at any time that he and he alone believes he is ready. Obviously, and I think he says earlier in this book that he says he all the time just to standardize it. It's not that he doesn't also mean she at the same time. So it's just in general, whoever is looking to leapfrog can do so. You don't have to wait and go through a specific line and go through all these specific steps, some arbitrary thing that someone else has set forth for you to get where you want to go. If you have the goods, you should be able to get wherever you want, whenever you want, as long as you're providing the value that people expect from somebody of that status or idea. Here's the concept. When you need to arrive somewhere, arrive differently. When you need to show up and be somebody, the only way to do that is to do it in a different way. Content marketing allows you to do this. So back in the 70s, long before the advent of World Wide Web and so forth, we're dealing with a lot of print was the main form of content marketing that people were familiar with. Obviously, you had a lot of electronic forms, television, film, and radio, but print was a very common place, especially for direct marketing, direct response marketing. And this is how he did it. Instead of sending a brochure or a business card in the mail that every other real estate person would send, because this was his game, was real estate investing, and looking for people that are real estate investors, and looking for long-term relationships with them so that he'll build up a portfolio and so forth. And it was tough because he'd call ahead and they'd be, okay, so who are you exactly? And he said, as soon as I was in that position, I was stuck. If they're asking that question, I'm dead in the water. So before he even made a phone call, when he found someone that looked like they might be a potential client, he sent them what he called his calling card. He said, I had a unique calling card designed. In addition to eliminating the question of who I was, my calling card made it impossible for an owner to forget me. That way, even if he wasn't interested in selling his property right now, the chances were pretty good that he would contact the tortoise down the road in his if his circumstances change. He refers to himself as the tortoise throughout this whole thing. It's kind of the little mascot of the book here. He says, my calling card was a spectacular, full color, hardcover brochure costing nearly $5 a copy. This is $5 back in the 70s, okay? The black cover had a high gloss finish, and the brochure opened bottom to top rather than the more traditional right to left format. Centered on the glossy black cover was a breathtaking full cover photo of the Earth as seen from one of the Apollo spaceships. Not only was my name not displayed on the front cover, it did not even appear on the inside of the front cover or on the first page. So he had this outrageous presentation. So you'd get this thing in the mail, it opens up like this, right? And you're looking at it and you can't figure out what it's about. And he goes into it, he starts talking about it, and goes deeper, and you have to dig into it before you even see what the commercial is. That's content marketing. That's coming with content, coming with value, coming with entertainment, showing up in a different way, but having a marketing message underneath it all. This was his introduction to be able to make an impact before he even made initial contact. And yes, he paid a little bit more. Yes, he spent a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. There was more creativity put into it. But in the long run, he ended up finding who he needed to meet, because he would follow up. I believe he followed up with a phone call afterwards, and then he'd have initial meetings and everything else. And he goes through that whole process of what he did. But the content marketing is what set everything up. Now, content marketing can be used on any level. We've talked before about the Dean Jackson's concept of having a before, during, and after unit to your business. You know, before you're doing business with them, while you're doing business with them, and after you're doing business. Marketing needs to span all that, especially content marketing. So some of the people who I get the most acclaim from when it comes to the different pieces of content marketing that I have out there are people that I already do business with or already have done business with. It's actually even more powerful for them than it is for people who don't know me yet, because it takes a while for people to warm up to you, to get to know you, and everything else. Content marketing allows you a chance to do that, like in this situation that Robert Ringer brings up, but it also allows you to continue that process. Like he said, even if someone's not ready, because most of them won't be ready, like we mentioned a few episodes before when we were talking about the buyer's pyramid. Huge majority, 97% or so, are not ready to buy right off the bat. They're not ready to go with you right away. Content marketing gives you the ability to make an impact before the impact is even needed. It's long-term thinking for business, and it's a tough thing for most business owners and business practitioners, and if you're an executive even, it's tough to wrap your mind around that because you're just focused on the people ready to buy now. But you got to look beyond that. If you can look beyond that, you can start building a relationship before you ever need to shake a hand or be the right person with them. You can start that relationship early on. So this is a great example, one that I will not be talking about at my training, but you got to hear it here today, and you'll get to hear a whole lot of other examples throughout history and modern day of people that are using content marketing and give you some ideas on how to use it. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about reasons why you should not be listening to this training, and if you find yourself in there, then you'll be able to save some time and save some money. But if you are already interested in finding out whether content marketing is right for you or not, then you'll want to sign up for my training on July 29th, 11 a.m. Pacific time, over at livecontenttraining.com. livecontenttraining.com. You can come on live and be part of the live training. Now, when this training, the recording of this training goes out there for sale, it will go sale for $90 or more, depending on when you're watching it. You may be watching this years in the future, and it's a lot more than $90, but it will not be any cheaper than $90 on its own. So go, you'll be able to purchase that. But if you get onto the live training beforehand, if you happen to be one of the lucky ones that is watching or listening to this before July 29th, 2022, go and sign up. livecontenttraining.com and pay only $40. And you could be there, you could ask questions, and we can have a little bit of back and forth. It's going to be wide open. Once I get through the main presentation, I'll stay on as long as possible to be able to answer everybody's questions. Only the first 100 people will be allowed on, so go and get your ticket today. That's all I have for tonight. You have a good one. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.